Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy Disco Shiba, and I love the Chinese New Year event at PokeMMO. More specifically, I love the Shrine. I think it's a strategic event that makes you have to use your brain. Um, it's not something that's mind-numbing like many of the things you can do on this game. Um, so yeah, I really like that aspect, which is why the first thing I did when this event came out is to hop on a call with my friend and theorycraft. We ended up coming after a few hours with a strategy. We collected data. We made screenshots in the shrine of sets. We ran calcs and all that stuff, and we came up with a guide to beat boss 1, 2, and 3. So at the beginning, I would have told you that doing boss 2 is the most worth method to make money, but they nerfed boss 2. So now the most worth it is to beat boss 3. Because boss 1 will give you 1 lucky red, boss 2 will give you 3 lucky reds, and boss 3 will give you 12 lucky reds. So you can see there's a pretty big difference. The money is huge if you do boss 3. Something else I'd like to say is that I suggest you do this with an alt and not with 4 different people. Because 2 of the players are going to do nothing. They're going to sit in a corner and just wait and literally just do nothing, so it can get pretty boring. This is an opportunity for you to make double the money, use your alt, let it sit in a corner, and yeah, that's it. There's no reason not to unless you don't have another device. If you do have another device and you do this without an alt, you're trolling. All you have to do is unlock 1 gym badge in Unova. That's it. And then you have access to the shrine. Or 2 gym badges in Hoenn. So yeah, I highly suggest you use an alt. You'll be making double the money. I think it's like 2 mil per run or something with an alt. And the run should take around an hour and a half, 2 hours maybe. 1 hour and a half if you get used to it and do this on a daily basis, then it should be pretty automatic. Something else I'd like to say is this is a guide to make money, not to be on the leaderboard. Being on the leaderboard is going to take another strat. It's going to be much different than this. This is just to make money. That's it. Also, this is a guide that will be updated regularly. This is something we did on the first day based on 1 run, and we've been doing it since, and it's been working. But I'm sure there are some things we can optimize in a better way. And we have a Google document, which I'm going to put in the description, and that's what we're going to be updating on a regular basis. We might be changing the Pokemons we use, using, different items. I don't know. We might change stuff. So keep that in mind. The Google document is really the main thing. It's the main source, and this video is just an accessory. Like, it's just there to support that document. And I almost forgot, I want to say thank you to Brimcatcher, which is the friend with whom I made this guide. And without further ado, let's dive right into it. So the first thing you're going to do is that you're going to grab Arbok, and your friend is going to grab Seviper. I'm assuming here that you're using alts, and your alts are going to take Steelix and Milotic. Those are going to be the 2 Pokemons that are going to do nothing during the entire time. And yeah, you need to start at the Rooster Wave here. It's very important you start at the Rooster Wave. What you're going to do is that you're going to clear yourself a path to the shrine. So you're going to start duo queuing. The Arbok and the Seviper are going to take battles up to the shrine. And you're also going to clear a path for your alts to put themselves in a safe spot so that they don't get aggroed by Pokemons. In this wave, it's very, very important that you get a Psyduck, a Piplup, and a Pidgey. So if you didn't know, when you defeat a Pokemon, it's available at the shrine, which means that you can grab it and use it. So those are the 3 Pokemons in this wave that you're going to need to defeat because you're going to have to use them. On that little corner, you see where our alts are. That's where you have to keep them. It's good to have them there because the Steelix is in the middle of everything and can use its heal to heal you if you need. And yeah, it's in the middle, so you can easily get to that Steelix for the heal. And it's also in a spot where it's not going to get aggroed. Okay, so keep clearing waves. We got that Pidgey. As I said, get those 3 mons, really important. And now you just defeat mons over and over again with your buddy until you get to that shrine. In that shrine, it's the little hut. You're gonna be able to pick Pokemons. And yeah, that's what you're gonna do here. So we keep clearing waves. In the first few waves, the Pokemons are very weak, so they can easily be one-shotted by your stab moves, sometimes even by your non-stab moves. Try to diversify, by the way, the moves you use. Don't always use the same one, so you can keep PPs on everything. Just something I forgot to mention, if you're using alt for the 2 Pokemons that are sitting still and doing nothing, reminder to move them, because if you don't, the game will disconnect you and then you're fucked because you can't reconnect. Your alt will not be able to go back into the shrine and your run will be screwed and you're going to be wasting time because you're going to have to restart it. Here we got into a fight, a bit unfortunate because we get a double intimidate, so Arbok can't one shot, but yeah. The idea is to get to the shrine so you can grab Pokemons and not have to do a queue. So you can just clear waves by yourselves without the other player, and it's just going to go much faster. By the way, this is the dog wave, and you're going to need a Riolu. Very important that you get a Riolu. You don't have to take it yet, but just you need it for later. At the shrine, the player with Arbok is going to take Psyduck and is going to evolve it into a Golduck. And you're also going to give the Strength Charm to max out its EVs. And the other player who has the Viper is going to take Piplup and do the same thing. So evolve it and use the EV item on it. And you're going to use those Pokemons to clear waves. So you're going to use Arbok and Golduck to clear waves, and the other one is going to use Viper and Empoleon to clear waves. As I said, try to take into account the Pokemons that are in front of you. Don't go into Intimidate mons if you're Arbok. Here I made a mistake. But if you're the other player and have Empoleon, then Intimidate mons are good because you have competitive. So you'll get a special attack boost, and Ice Beam will just kill everything. So yeah. Just choose your battles wisely. And with Empoleon, do not use Signal Beams because that's what you're going to use for the boss. But you can use the other 2 moves, Ice Beam and Water Pledge. Also, it has Roost, so you can heal it if necessary. So yeah, this is essentially how it's going to go on these waves. You have to clear 12 waves to get to the first boss. Then the second boss is going to appear after the 19th wave, and the third boss is going to appear after the 26th wave. First 12 waves are super easy. You should be able to one-shot essentially everything. And yeah, you just do this over and over again. We are now in the pig wave. Very important. You grab Mankey and you grab Spoink. You're going to need these 2 for the strategy to work. Very, very important. So defeat those 2 Pokemons and keep them for later. You don't have to get them now, but just take them for later. After that, we are in the Mouse Wave. Mouse Wave, you do the same thing. You defeat mons. Here, you're going to need Buizel, and you're going to need Rattata just in case. So get those 2 mons. Floatzel is necessary. Rattata is better if you can, but not indispensable. Yeah. Again, reminder that Steelix is in the middle, so he can heal you if you need it. Go get those heals. If you're running low, you don't want to lose one of your Pokemons. You want to keep them healthy. At this point, you don't have to pick up any new Pokemons, and it's going to be the same every wave until the boss. So I'm going to fast forward this. I'm not going to hold your hand during every fight and tell you what to do. I think it's kind of up to you. I'm giving you the Pokemons to use, but like, you know that if you're in front of a water Pokemon, you're not going to use a fire move. So just, logically use your moves and defeat what's in front of you. Try to diversify the moves you use to preserve PPs. And yeah, just clear waves. And I'll fast forward if you really want to watch me defeat all these Pokemons. By the way, this was really scuffed. I fucked up several times, and but I still managed. I just got aggroed by mistake by some Pokemons, and I'm also limit testing a bit, seeing what kills, what doesn't. About that, I do have that Google Drive sheet in which I have a notes tab in which I put a bunch of notes. What I write down, for example, is Poison Jab of Arbok did not kill X or Y Pokemon. It did not one-shot it. Or I put that Bullet Seed on Slowbro is Slowpoke is a roll. Sometimes it kills, sometimes it doesn't. So I write that down all the time and I update it, so you can check that out if you're hesitant in a battle. So yeah, just so you know. So I'm going to fast forward until we get to the boss fight, because there's no other mons to pick up here. And you can slow down the video if you really want to watch the battles. Something I forgot to mention is that you can strategically pick the amount of battles you do. So some waves are harder than others, so it's better to add an extra battle in the previous wave. What I mean by that is that to defeat one round, you need to beat 4 pairs, well, at least in the first phase. When I talk about phases, it's like the entire thing before one boss. So phase 1 comprises all the rounds before boss 1. Phase 2 is everything before boss 2. Phase 3 is everything before boss 3. So in phase 1, to get to the next round, you have to defeat 4 pairs. So to get from dragon to snake, you have to defeat 4 pairs of dragons. In the phase 2 and 3, I think it's a bit more. It's like 5 or 6 pairs. But where I'm getting to is that some rounds are harder than others. So, for example, the dragon wave is super easy. And the snake wave, which is right after, is a bit harder for Arbok. So what you can do is, instead of beating 4 pairs of dragons, you beat 5 pairs of dragons. So you're going to defeat 3 pairs. Then on the last fight, your partner is going to wait, or you're going to wait for your partner to engage in another battle. So you're going to engage into a dragon battle and then wait, and then the other person is going to engage in another dragon battle at the 4th battle. So you're going to have 5 dragon battles instead of 4. What that's going to do is that it's going to postpone that battle to the next round. So instead of beating 4 pairs of snakes, you're going to have to beat 3 pairs of snakes, which is good for you because you don't like snakes. Arbok is not good into Ekans. Especially if it's double Ekans, that's really, really bad for you. So always try to avoid double Ekans. Okay, but fast forward to the boss. What you're going to do is, before every boss, is you're going to check for items. You're going to look around everywhere and see if you don't have any items. But specifically before boss 1, a player with Arbok is going to grab Riolu and Pidgey. The other player is going to grab Buizel and Mankey. The Floatzel and the Riolu, you're not going to touch them. You're not going to use them for this fight. It's just to have them when you're near the boss. But the Pidgey and the Mankey are going to be used. So you're going to grab those two. You as the Arbok, you grab the Pidgey. You're going to evolve it, and you're going to give it a Strength Charm. Your partner with the Seviper is going to grab the Mankey, is going to evolve the Mankey, and give EVs to the Mankey. If you need to sell items to do this, you sell the items. Try to keep the items that can be useful. It's always good to use them if you can, but you have to prioritize Strength Charms and Evolution Charms, especially for Primeape and Lucario. But yeah, if you have something like leftovers that you have left, then slap them on Steelix. It's really good for the boss fight. Try to keep the items that can be useful, like a muscle band. Muscle band is really good on stuff like Floatzel or Arbok, because in phase 2 they kind of struggle to one-shot Pokemons. So they deal like 95% damage. But with that muscle band, they can one-shot. So yeah, just use your items wisely. Play around them, and yeah, that's it. But eventually, you probably will have to sell them to evolve and strengthen your Pokemons. So before the boss fight starts, the first one, you're gonna have to do a bit of setting up. You're gonna have to make some trades as well. The first player is gonna have Arbok, Golduck, Pidgey, and Riolu. The second player is gonna have Primeape, Empoleon, Seviper. He's going to give his Empoleon and Seviper to the third and fourth player, which in this case should be your alts. And your third player, so the alt, is going to have Milotic and whichever one you gave him. And the fourth player, which is also your alt, will have the Steelix and the other Pokemon that was given to him. And that's going to be your lead. Arbok, Primeape, Milotic, and Steelix. Now, as the battle begins, you're going to notice that there's a bunch of Intimidates that are going to go off, which is really good for you because that's going to proc the competitive of Milotic and the Defiant of Primeape. So they're going to have max attack and max special attack. The ads don't matter at all because the ads will always use Snarl. With the Arbok, you are going to use Serpent Sphere because it's going to drop all of its stats. So it's going to be intimidated and have that Serpent Sphere thing procced. So it's going to have -2 in physical attack and -1 in everything else. With Primeape, you're just going to deal DPS. Just use Ice Punch over and over again. You don't need to use Drain Punch because it's not going to take damage. But if you're low on Ice Punches, then use Drain Punch. Just alternate between both. With Milotic, you're going to set up Screens, so Protective Aura. And with Steelix, you are going to use Provoke every time. As you can tell, Steelix is tanking everything like a wall. He's barely taking any damage, and that's really good. So if you didn't notice, Provoke is the same thing as Follow Me, so all the attacks are going to be redirected towards Steelix, so that Primeape and Milotic are safe. On turn 2, with the Arbok, you're going to switch into Pidgey. With the Primeape, you're only going to attack over and over again, and with the Milotic, you are going to use Scald until you get a burn on the boss. Once you get that burn, you switch to Ice Beam, and every time your screens are down with Milotic, well, you're gonna use them. With Steelix, you just use Provoke over and over again. The reason why we go into Pidgey is because Pidgey has Mending Prayer, so it can heal your Steelix if it ever gets low. When the Steelix is low, you heal him with Pidgey. If the Steelix is not low, so for example, if the boss is burnt, if there's no defense drop on Steelix, if everything is fine with Steelix, you just click return on the boss and heal him the next turn. Here, in this case, our Steelix is pretty low, so I do use Mending Prayer and I do heal the Steelix. And yeah, once that's done with the Pidgey, what you're going to do is U-turn into your Arbok so that you can proc the Intimidate again. Ideally, you do this when the boss resets its stats. So when you have Pidgey, you use Return on the first time, then you heal the Steelix, and then by that point in time, the boss will reset its stats. You just U-turn back into Arbok, and you have that Intimidate proc, and you're going to use Serpent Sphere again, and drop the stats of the boss once again. And yeah, you just do that over and over again. The Steelix is just going to tank everything. If the Steelix ever gets low, and you don't have Pidgey on the field, then you can use Mending Prayer with Steelix on the Steelix itself. It's very safe to do because even if the Steelix is at like 15% health, if it doesn't use Provoke, the boss is just gonna ignore it. So it's not gonna die. The boss is gonna target Arbok instead, It's going to use Crunch on Arbok, and the Steelix is going to be able to use Mending Prayer on itself. Then the next turn, it just keeps using Provoke, so you can go back into Pidgey and heal the Steelix again, or do whatever. Use Serpent Sphere with Arbok, it's fine as well. But yeah, this is essentially the strat. You just repeat this over and over, alternate between Arbok and Pidgey, damage with Primeape, and set up screens with Melodic and Scald to get a burn on the boss, and Ice Beam when it's burned, and then provoke over and over again with Steelix. And keep in mind that if anything happens to one of your mons, it's not the end of the world, because you will get a free revive after beating boss 1. So yeah, everything is pretty safe up to this point. I'm going to fast forward the boss fight because it's just the same thing over again. You can slow it down if you want, but I'll see you at the end. Okay, now that the boss fight is over, you put back your alts in a safe zone, and you're going to be doing a bit of trading. So the player with Arbok is going to have Arbok, Riolu, Golduck, and you're going to give your Pidgey to the alt that has Melodic. So you're going to take Melodic. So you're going to have Arbok, Melodic, Riolu, and Golduck. The other player is going to get back his Pokemons, and he's going to have Primeape, Empoleon, Seviper, and Floatzel. Once you have those Pokemons, the both of you are just going to start clearing waves again. What you should do at this point is try to grab items and try to go to the shop and get an Evolution Charm and Strength Charms, so you can use them on Riolu and Buizel. Priority to Lucario, so you're going to want to evolve that Riolu into Lucario, give it a Strength Charm, and do the same thing with Floatzel, and then you just clear waves as you did in the first phase. Here we start with the Rooster wave, and it's an important one because you're going to go get Archon. Archon is very important for this strat to work, because it's important for phase 3. Here in this video, you see that we get an Archon immediately and not a Floatzel, but ignore that, it was just a test that we did. But you should really get that Archon and use that Floatzel now. So player 2 is going to use Seviper, Primeape, Empoleon, and Floatzel, and then you have that Archon in the back for phase 3. But yeah, you need to defeat an Archon here, and yeah, it's exactly the same thing, just clear waves over and over again. This is something I'm going to fast forward, because you don't need to see all the battles, as I said previously. Something I should mention, though, is that in phase 2 and 3, if you fail to beat both Pokemons in one go, so if you don't one-shot the Pokemons, there's a third one that's going to appear. So what's going to happen is that if you kill both Pokemons immediately, the battle is over. But if one of them survives, then a third Pokemon is going to appear. And that kind of sucks, because it's going to waste your time and waste your PP and potentially make your Pokemons unhealthy. So you really have to be sure and do your best. Sometimes it's not possible, but you have to do your best to defeat both Pokemons at the same time, immediately, one-shot them, otherwise a third one appears. Don't forget that you still have items. If you don't need to sell anything, then you can use them. It can be very practical. But yeah, grab that Archon during the Rooster phase and just clear waves afterwards. Alternate between your Pokemons. Don't always use the two same. You have to adapt according to what's around you. So if you see that there's an Intimidate mon next to you, and that's all there is really, only Intimidate mons, then don't use Arbok. It's not going to work well. Use Melodic instead. So you just switch around. Like if you get a fire type in front of you or a ground type, don't use Lucario. Use the water Pokemons you have. So yeah, just switch the two Pokemons you're using according to each battle you're about to do. Okay, I stopped the fast forward here because we are in the Tiger Wave. Tiger Wave is very important because this is the last wave where you're going to have to pick up a Pokemon that wasn't available before. Here, you're going to grab a Zangoose. So you're going to defeat a Zangoose so you have it in the shrine. In this video, I'm not the one defeating it. I think it's my partner who did. So he got the Zangoose in the shrine. And yeah, very important, get Zangoose during the Tiger Wave. And the Tiger Wave is the last wave before the boss. So, so I'll see you there for the boss fight. Okay, we are at the boss. Once again, find items, go look around and see if you didn't miss any. You don't really have to sell anything at this point. You can just use the items. If you want, you can sell just if something's missing for your Pokemons. But you should be fine because you're going to be using the exact same Pokemons. And the strat is exactly the same. So you're going to trade back the Pokemons. Player 1 should have Arbok, Golduck, Pidgey, and Lucario. Player 2 should have Empoleon. Player 3 and player 4 should have Milotic and Steelix and get other Pokemons in the back. So the player who has Empoleon, yeah, I forgot to mention, player 2, instead of using Primeape, you use Empoleon here. So the other Empoleon is never going to die, so the other Pokemons, you can give them to your alts just in case they have to switch. And with Empoleon, you only use Signal Beam, nothing else, just spam Signal Beam. The boss fight, as I said, is the same. It's going to be the same strat. So you're going to use Arbok, Serpent Fear, you're going to use Empoleon for Signal Beam, you're going to use Milotic for setting up screens, then going for the Scald Burn, then you're going to use Steelix and spam Provoke. The only difference with this boss is that he sets up Reflect, and that he has an extra move, which is Rock Slide, but those things don't matter at all. So I'm going to fast forward here. The other mods, you're not going to be using them. They're there to switch just in case, but you shouldn't have to do that. They're there to like protect Arbok and Pidgey just in case something happens, but you should be fine. Again, the ads don't matter. They only use Snarl, and yeah, I'm going to fast forward because it's the exact same thing as last time. Phase 3 will start in the Mouse Wave, and this is done on purpose. Like, we calculated this, so we arrive on the Mouse Wave. Why? Because it has Audino and Spinda. You're going to understand in a few seconds why that's important. But first, what you're going to do, you're not going to take any battles. Well, perhaps you're going to have to take one, because you're going to go to the shop, you're going to sell items, and you're going to get Strength Charms and Evolution Charms according to your needs. But just know that this wave, you're going to have to pick up Zangoose and Archon. And that Archon is at least going to need an Evolution Charm. If you have enough, you can give it a Strength Charm. And the Zangoose is only going to need a Strength Charm because you don't need to evolve it. It doesn't have an evolution. So Strength Charm on Zangoose and Evolution Charm on Archeops. If you can give a Strength Charm to Archeops, that's even better. But yeah, just so you know, that's what you need. Go to the shop, get those items, and don't get into fights just yet. Unless you have to, but here there is a fight in between, so you have to take it, clear that out really quickly. And once you do that, teleport. You teleport to the shrine, so your alts will be there, you'll be there, everyone will be there. It's that little blue thing in your bag. And the player with Arbok, so you're going to have Arbok, Lucario, Golduck, and Pidgey. Well, you're going to give Pidgey and Golduck to your alt so that it holds it. And you're going to take Spoink and Zangoose. So you're going to have Arbok, Lucario, Zangoose, and Spoink. Your partner is going to grab Archeops. So he's going to have Seviper, Empoleon, Primeape, Archeops, Floatzel. That's 5 Pokemons, so one of them is going to have to be given to the alt. And just give whichever one you need the less, whichever one has the less PP. And yeah, but the most important part here is the first player. So the first player, the first thing you're going to do is find a battle against either a Spinda or a Audino. You're going to lead with Arbok and Lucario. Do not kill the Audino or Spinda. You kill the Pokemon next to it. For example, if it's Azumarill and Spinda, then you're gonna kill the Azumarill. Then another mon is gonna pop. It's gonna appear because you didn't KO both of them, and you're gonna kill that Pokemon as well. So you're gonna kill the Pokemon that is next to Spinda and the one that appears until you're left with either the Spinda or the Audino, whichever one you chose. What you're gonna do when that's left is that you're gonna switch into Zangoose and Spoink. We chose Spinda and Audino because they don't have damaging moves. So you can set up here pretty easily. The idea is that Spoink is going to use Toxic on Zangoose because Zangoose has an ability that kind of works like Guts. I forgot the name, but if it's poisoned, then it's going to deal double damage. So not only does it have that ability, it's going to be poisoned, but it also has Facade. So it's going to hit like a motherfucking truck. You might not even need to use a Strength Charm on it. I do just out of precaution, but I'm sure it works without it. So once that's done, once the Zangoose is poisoned, you're going to switch back into Arbok and Lucario because you don't want to get that poison damage procced, and you're just going to defeat the remaining Spinda. Once you've done that, you trade back the Spoink to your alt. You get back with whatever Pokemon you gave. Well, you let it keep Pidgey, but you can either get back Melodic or get back Golduck, and you're going to clear waves. So in the end, you're going to have Arbok, Lucario, Golduck or Melodic, and Zangoose. Your friend is going to have Empoleon, Primeape, Archeops, Floatzel, Seviper, 4 of those 5 Pokemons. And that's it. Your Zangoose is going to be poisoned, and Zangoose and Lucario together, they destroy everything. They obliterate every wave. Like, the damage is unreal. So you're just going to be clearing waves. This is honestly the easiest phase, even though it's phase 3, just because of Zangoose. Alternatively, what you can do is give Lucario to your friend. We haven't tried this out yet, but I think it could work pretty well because Archeops is faster than Lucario. It has Rock Slide, Acrobatics, and Lucario has Copycat. And Copycat is going to copy its move, and it's going to also use Rock Slide or Acrobatics, which is really good. So that's something that can work quite well. We haven't tried it, but it's been going fine even without that. So you can just stick to what we do here. But that is something we're going to test afterwards. But yeah, you just clear waves over and over again. Switch the Pokemons. If you have, if you're in front of like a Hippo or a Camerupt, you can just use Melodic. You don't have to use your Zangoose. You don't have to use Lucario. Yeah, just alternate again. Clear waves. And don't be greedy with the PPs here at this point because you're not going to use these Pokemons against the boss. Zangoose, you're not going to use it against the third boss. Lucario, you're not going to use him against the third boss. So you don't care about your PPs at this point. You just deal damage and destroy everything in your way. It might be a bit harder for your partner because he doesn't have that Zangoose. So if there are ways that are a bit too difficult for that for the Seviper player, so player 2, he can give them to you. So you can take more waves than he gets. And yeah, that's about it. Just even with Zangoose, avoid Intimidate Mons. Maybe give that to your partner because he can use Empoleon. He can use Golduck. You can even give him Golduck. He can use Melodic. So yeah, that's it. Clear waves with Zangoose and Lucario, and it should be pretty fast. The boss will appear after the 26th wave. So I'll be fast forwarding up until that point, and you can slow down the video if you want to. Okay, so we're back at the boss, and it's going to be the exact same thing. Here, it's your last boss battle. You're going to leave the shrine after this. So you can just fill the remaining spots with other Pokemons that could be useful if anything happens. You're going to sell your items and evolve them if necessary. You can grab Superior, for example. It's very good in case anything happens to one of your carries. You use Serp with Contrary. It works just as well as the other ones. And it's exactly the same thing. Lead Arbok. So you have Arbok, Lucario, Zangoose, and Pidgey. You lead Arbok. You lead with Empoleon. You lead with Melodic. And you lead with Steelix as player 4. And you do the exact same thing. Nothing is different. Serpent Sphere Arbok, Intimidate proc, go back into Pidgey. Empoleon just deals damage. If Empoleon is out of PP for some reason, it shouldn't be the case. You should still have a bunch of Signal Beams left, but you can use Superior. Melodic also should have a lot of PP left. Set up screens, Scald for the burn, and Steelix just uses Provoke over and over again. The boss fight is going to be the exact same. The only difference during that boss fight is that in addition to the Reflect and Rock Slide, he's going to have something that's like a Omni stat reduction thing, where he's going to reduce all your stats at like mid-health, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything. The only thing that might be a bit annoying is that he now has access to Dragon Breath, and that has a chance to paralyze you. And since your Steelix is going to be using Provoke all game, well, Steelix might get paralyzed and might not be able to use Provoke. It shouldn't be that bad because you're still going to have your screens up and reduce the stats of the boss. But just in case, you can give Seviper to player 1 so that instead of switching to Pidgey or Arbok, he switches to Seviper or to other Pokemons that have this move. And I think it's Healing Wind, and you heal the paralysis off Steelix. He might get paralyzed again, but you know it's so tanky that it shouldn't really matter. And even if some Pokemons die, even if your Steelix gets paralyzed like 3 times in a row, well, you still have Lucario on the back, you still have Zangoose, you still have a bunch of Pokemons on the back, so it's virtually impossible for you to lose this fight. But yeah, same thing, keep using Provoke on Steelix, eventually heal his paralysis, heal him with Mending Prayer with Pidgey, and that's it. That's it. After this fight, you leave the shrine. You're gonna get 12 lucky red envelopes, and yeah, if you do ×2, because you have an alt, it's gonna come up to like 2 million. So it's gonna be 2 million Pokeens per run, which is really good. And yeah, that's it. I don't think I have anything else to add. I hope this guide helped you. I hope it was informative, and yeah, it takes a bit of skill, but as long as you get all the Pokemons I told you to get and use them the way I told you so, it should be fine. Everything should be fine. So yeah, good luck with your shrine runs. I hope you make a lot of money, and I wish you a happy Chinese New Year. Disco Shiba out. Just as a reminder, there is that Google document that you can use if you're more of a visual person. It's in the description. There the strat is much more detailed, and it's going to be updated. Unlike this video is not going to be updated, but the Google Docs is. But for the moment, I don't think it needs an update. Everything is fine this way. So yeah, bye-bye.